in the hell am I?
Prey. As in, they were once the predators, but now are thee. And not, in fact, the religious thing. That would be a completely different game, probably made by Wisdom Tree, and I'm just gonna hazard a guess and say it sucked. No, Prey is instead a 2006 sci-fi FPS on the Xbox 360, PC, and Mac, and it tries to do a lot of really cool different things that were pretty innovative for its time. Now, kicking right off the bat, the game hits you with probably its biggest strength, its ability to establish tone. You start off with your main character, Tommy, a Cherokee mechanic who wants to run as far away from his heritage as possible, taking it easy after a day of work, trying to talk to his girlfriend Jen about taking a few days off and going to the city with him. And this short prologue before any actual action starts happening not only establishes pretty much everything you need to know about the characters, their backstory, their dynamic, but it also allows you to get used to the controls and just explore the world and see how you can interact with stuff. You can go change the music on the jukebox, you can play with the TV if you want, or you can just sit around and listen to your character's backstory and how he relates to other characters. This is great for establishing tone, and this continues on a few moments later after some strange happenings occur and aliens start abducting you. At this point, again, great atmosphere, great establishing of what's going on. You're being abducted by aliens. You're seeing the inner workings of their ship. You're seeing their bizarre technology. And that's great, but problems start to occur pretty much immediately after you take control and actually start the game proper. Because as great as this game is at establishing tone and story, everything else just kind of falls flat. But before we get to that, there is one more aspect of story I want to talk about. Occasionally in your travels, you will run into receivers that are receiving a radio broadcast from Earth. It's a talk show radio which has a special line set up to people out in Texas who are reporting alien sightings. And it's really interesting to see both the macro side, the alien invasion as a whole happening on Earth, versus the micro side, which is what's going on with the protagonist. It's kind of a neat duality of story, and it definitely helps establish tone for the full mythos and world that it's creating. Now, once you actually get out of story, that's when things start to fall flat on their face pretty quick, because nothing else hits quite the levels it should be. Let's start with the weapons. Each weapon has a really cool sort of organic meets technological look to it. I really enjoy that. But while each weapon is kinda unique in design, they're all your average weapons, and moreover, they're not wildly effective. It sort of has the same problem a game like Halo has, where you could shoot 100 bullets into your opponent, but they still won't die just because the weapons are so weak. And I mean, we're talking about a game here that has an acid shooting gun. An acid shooting gun! I should be over the moon about how cool these weapons are, and while they look cool and are kinda conceptually cool, they're just not all that powerful. And that automatically makes the gameplay kind of boring. To push this further, the enemies. I mean, yeah, you got a pretty wide variety, at least in terms of appearance. You've got alien soldiers, you've got floating guys, you've got really big giant alien guys. You've got things that are clearly not bull squids, but we're basically taking Half-Life's bull squids. You've got mutated humans. But like the weapons, they're all just basically skins for other things. I mean, the alien soldiers are basically just soldiers in any other game. They'll hide behind cover, pop out, you can shoot them. The humans are basically just zombies. You shoot them a few times, they'll still chase you, you shoot them again, they fall. And you've got the dogs and the bull squids, which are basically just enemies designed to rush you. They're not wildly intelligent, you can smack them down pretty hard with a melee weapon. I kinda enjoyed the one really big guy I ran into during recording because he reminded me of the Cyber Demon from Doom, but that just made me want to play Doom, a game that has a far greater variety of enemies that do far different things. The mechanics of environmental design and puzzle design in this game are actually pretty conceptually innovative. They have portals, well before Portal was a thing. They have gravity manipulation. They have teleporting boxes. But as cool as this stuff is, it's not well implemented. I mean, if you have to go find a portal out of a room, chances are the portal is literally the way you came, which is not only obtuse the first or second time you run into it, but it's boring every other time after that. Gravity manipulation can be used for some pretty interesting things, but not only is it disorienting, but it's mainly just running up a wall to get to a different platform. It doesn't ever feel like it's really utilized to its fullest potential. And environmental design in general is just kinda substandard. I mean, yeah, the environments look fantastic, but I can't begin to tell you how many times I've run through an environment, killed all the people, and got stuck on where to move on because I didn't notice the switch to move on was 5 feet to where I started, but was just facing backwards. That's just sloppy level design. And that's not even the half of it. I mean, later on you get the ability to join the spirit world, which allows you to avoid certain physical barriers, but that's really the full extent that gives you. Oh, and the ability to go to the spirit world effectively defeats any sort of difficulty this game has. Why? Because as soon as you lose all of your health, and this game doesn't have recharging health, that was one really cool thing I was ready to support. As soon as you run out of health, instead of dying and having to restart, you get taken to the spirit world, where you are told you have to fight the spirits of the dishonored dead, but really what this means is they're going to throw a bunch of enemies in front of you. You can completely ignore them or not, it doesn't matter, because after 10 seconds, you're automatically revived. There is no penalty to death. Therefore, there is absolutely no challenge in this game. And that is one of the most bafflingly frustrating things about this game. I mean, yeah, sure, pretty much everything else about the gameplay was just kinda average, maybe a little substandard, but the fact that there's literally no challenge means you can run up to the hardiest boss and just melee them to death with no threat of actually dying because there's no way for you to enter a failure state. The environmental designs are really nice, they're creepy, and like I said at the start of this, it's great for establishing a certain tone to this game. You're in a creepy, sort of half-alive, half-machine alien ship, just trying to figure out what's going on and save your girlfriend. But as gross and creepy as this environment is, everything else in it is just kinda substandard. And as amazing as this environment is, the things you do in it are just kinda boring. The sound design is sort of all over the place. Really, aside from the loading screen music, all the in-game sounds are a few licensed songs you can hear on the jukebox at the beginning, and a few times later on. The rest of the time, it's really just sort of silent, and that can be used to great effect in establishing atmosphere, but it's really not memorable. The voice acting is sort of all over the place. Most of it just comes from the main character, Tommy, which at times, it sounds like the voice actor's really into the part, but at other times it sounds like he's just sort of recording it just as he's trying to go catch a bus. The fact is, it just doesn't suit the character or the situation, and if it's trying to sound like it's raising the stakes or make the character sound tense, it failed on a tremendous level. And that's really Prey in a nutshell. It's a game that has so many good ideas, but it just fails to really execute any of them. It felt like the developers were trying to be innovative in every single way, but it fell flat on the most basic levels. And it's annoying because I really want to like Prey. It's a game that knows how to establish tone, but that's it. Would I recommend you get Prey? Well, the nice thing is, it's not expensive at all. I bought my copy for $2, like brand new, a few weeks ago. And if you want a game that shows you how to establish tone or how you should create an alien environment, this game is definitely one to look up. But if you're looking for a game that's mechanically solid and a ton of fun to play, I would probably pass on this one. I mean, hell, on the 360 alone, I'm pretty sure you can get a copy of the Xbox original version of Time Splitters Future Perfect that runs backwards compatible. Just go get that. I mean, that game was tremendous, and a hell of a lot better. Black! You could get Black! That game's awesome! But all in all, I can't really recommend Prey as a FPS that you must own. I mean, if you see it for cheap, and you think it looks interesting, you know, pick it up, because it definitely does have that cool look to it. But other than that, I would say avoid this one.
This looks safe.